Hello and welcome to Escena. I'm your host, Andrew Rosario. We're outside the Beacon Theater here in Manhattan, where the UFC World Championship Tour is taking place. We'll be right back.
Love New York City, so who doesn't? I mean, it's always great to be in New York. It's a fun city, tons of things to do. You know, it's a destination. That's where we like to do fights. We like to do fights in places that are destinations.
Why was it important for you to have the press conference here?
Well, you know, when you look at media capitals of the United States, you got to look at LA and New York, you know. So there's no way that you're going to do a world tour and not hit New York City, whether you're there or not. Even though we don't do fights here, we have tons of fans in the state of New York. So
you can tell by the people that showed up today.
Right.
But you touched on the fact that you can't fight here. What do you think it's going to take for that law to get passed so that you guys can fight in New York?
I mean, it's pretty clear and very obvious. It's blatantly obvious. It's all being held up by the most powerful man in New York politics. There's nobody in New York politics that's more powerful than Shelley Silver, and he's the guy that's keeping it out of New York because of his union ties.
Have you met with him personally?
I have not, but our people have.
Would you like to sit down and talk with him and try to iron it out?
Probably not, no. I don't think Shelley and I would have very good conversations. I think the guys that are talking to him right now are the guys that should be talking to him.
Talk about the card that's going to take place that night in November.
I'm excited for it. I think that fight is like the Anderson Silva-Weidman fight, where a lot of people believe that Weidman could win. A lot of people believe that Hendricks can win too.
About the fight night, when you're going to be in that ring, what's it going to be like?
Gonna be very excited, very scared, and at the same time very confident. It's a mix of everything, but that's what makes you perform better. That feeling.
For people that haven't seen you fight in the past, what can they expect? What is your style like? What are your strengths?
I'm a very explosive guy. I go down to business right away in the first round, and it's gonna be a good fight.
I think the key is for you to come out winning that night.
Be at my best. If I fight at my best, I believe I'm better than him and I will win.
When you come to New York City and you see the crowd like this, the excitement that is generated, does it make you wish that you want to actually fight here in New York City?
You know, definitely. You know, this being one of the prime spots as far as, you know, having, Madison Square Garden here, you know, definitely, you know, some place that is like in the record books, you know, in the history of great fights. So definitely, I mean, you know, there's a lot of great fans here. I think, you know, we owe it to them to have a fight here, you know, sooner or later. So
this is going to be your third fight coming up with the same guy. Is there any distinct advantage that either of you have? Do you have to change things up differently from the first and second fight?
You know, the first fight I didn't put any pressure on him. The second fight I did, that's what worked, you know. So we're going to keep that thing going. You know, obviously, I think we could have been better technically, you know, both on the feet and on the ground. So we're going to definitely, you know, do that when we come out, and just, you know, expect different stuff from him, whether it be technique or different strategy coming from him. So we got to be ready for all that stuff.
Turn of events for sure, but you know, I know that not everyone in life gets a second chance to make their dreams come true, and for me this is my second chance, you know, and I really want to make it happen. You know, I believe in myself, I believe in my skill set, and I know that I have what it takes to beat her. You know, it's just a matter of putting it together and going in there with the right attitude, and you know, I believe I can come out the victor.
What is a gorgeous woman like you doing in such a brutal sport like this?
I'm an adrenaline junkie. Simple as that. I love it, and I'm very competitive, so it's just the best outlet for me to be able to get that out, I guess.
How did you get your start? What made you want to get into a sport like this?
I started wrestling when I was 15 in high school, and I went out for that against my parents' you know, best wishes, and I did that because they couldn't pay for gymnastics. It was too expensive, you know. I didn't grow up rich or anything like that by any means. I wanted to go out for gymnastics, but my parents were like, we can't, sorry, it's too expensive. So I'm like, well, I'm going out for wrestling then. That was like my only other option. So I did that, and it was the best random decision decision I ever made.
What do you think about this New York City crowd, the reception that you guys have gotten today?
It's incredible. It's the energy in this room is the equivalent of like what you would find at a UFC event. You know, they're so excited to see us here. They're such huge fans, and it sucks so bad that they're just starved for MMA. They're just so deprived. You know, New York needs to make it happen.
Venture in new unseen territory, so yeah, I'm super excited to be changing the scene a little bit. Even though it seems like everything that I'm doing is constantly evolving around me anyway, I operate best in chaos.
How will that affect training camp?
I'm bringing my everything that I need there, you know, and they've been extremely supportive, and anyone that I need to be brought in to train with, they're happy to help me out, and it just happens to be a movie where I have like Victor Ortiz and Randy Couture there, and like there's going to be so many stunt people and stuff like that. I'm going to be using everybody for bodies, you know, like if you don't know anything, I'm going to teach you. And Bulgaria also has great judo and wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and I'm going to go find a way to make it work. And you know, it's a lot of work, but it's the same amount of work. It's just different. You know, the last camp, everybody was telling me like, look, we never seen coverage like this on a Mayweather camp, on a Silva camp, like it was just nuts. I would have one day, I would have Primetime there, HBO Real Sports there, ESPN there, New York Times, in the same day, all following me around. You know what I mean? And and then I would still have to do my individual work for all of them separately as well. And it was a lot of work. And now I'm going to get a break from that because Silva and Wyman are carrying the card, and you know, Tough is already filmed. But now I'm just going to replace that with different work.
The reception you guys got today?
I love it. I love seeing that the people in New York are so supportive of our sport, and you know, I can't wait for the whole state to really embrace it once people start becoming more educated about what it is.
How will your approach when you fight Misha that night?
Approach? Like I always improvise when I fight. We only think of the first exchange, the first round, and then when you get to the second round, he'll tell me the next first exchange or idea, and then I think me being able to, at least I assume that I haven't been to a second round yet, but what's it called? I think being able to adapt within a fight is what makes you a great fighter. Not being able to be disciplined and stick to a game plan. I mean, I'm going to be one thing I really expect from her is I took her down like 3 times in one round in that fight. I mean, it was so bad that she changed her name from Takedown to Cupcake because she couldn't be took down Tate. That wouldn't fly unless you're in Japan, and then no one would notice because of the accent. But so one thing I do expect from her is for them to really just. She said she was going to start training in some judo and get a little bit more used to it and find judo players better than me, which I think is kind of like hilarious because even if she found Olympic gold medals, they wouldn't fight anything like me because I was like the most unorthodox judo fighter ever. Why don't we see that many other judo players, you know, in MMA? Is because I was a weirdo. And the thing is I expect her to really kind of expect to get taken down and worry more about going for the back right after she lands. For this camp, I'm definitely going to be trying to be much more secure with my transitions. I really feel I'm so confident in myself that I take a lot of risks for the sake of progress.
Big difference between fighting in the United States and fighting in Brazil. Is there a different reaction from the crowd? Is there a difference?
It's kind of different, yeah. People in Brazil is very, very loud all the time. You know, people here they like a lot fights, but they respect a little bit more. So, but they are very good too.
You said this is your first time to New York City?
First time.
So, what have you seen since you've been here? What do you think about the people? You know, the number of people. There's a lot of people here, right?
Yeah. I just got here yesterday. I'm leaving this afternoon, so very fast. But the fans made this time very special because they were very loud for me, and it's very important to me, you know, and I'm happy with that.
What's going to be the key for you on fight night to come out as a winner?
Well, the key is going to be faith. You know, you have to get faith on yourself, in God, to get good results, and I think I believe so much I will do that.
Do you technique, or do you change it based on who you're fighting?
Well, no, I'm gonna keep the same thing because it works normally, you know, and I like to train like that. All the time I train very hard, all the arts, you know, jiu-jitsu, boxing, Muay Thai, wrestling, and this time for sure I'm gonna do
A little better, more of a little bit more of wrestling because Cain Velasquez is really good in wrestling. But for sure I'm gonna be prepared to fight anywhere. Os meus fãs podem esperar o melhor de mim e a gente vai ter esse cinturão de volta porque eu estou muito motivado e vocês trazem uma energia muito grande para mim. Eu vou lá para ganhar e a gente vai vencer.
Is UFC MMA so popular?
I can't answer that, can you?
Me neither.
Okay, why do you think it's so popular?
As Dana said earlier, I think the fights that he puts together, I think that's what does it.
Not only that, but you also get to see everything that the fighters go through, like as far as with the training, the lifestyles. So you get to learn a lot about these guys. So it's really great to learn about the sport as well.
And the fact that they don't allow it here in New York City, how frustrating is that for you fans?
Well, it is very frustrating. We're just hoping that it'll eventually happen. I don't know what is it that we have to do as fans. If we could do something to help, then we definitely will. But it's out of our hands, I guess, at this point.
Who's your favorite fighter?
I would have to say GSP. Yeah.
And why is that?
I just think he's the complete fighter. Wrestler. Stand-up is awesome. I mean, I think he's complete.
What's your reaction when people say that the sport is too violent?
Well, I guess to each its own. Like everybody likes different sports, and they gotta respect what you like, regardless of what it is.
What about women in the sport? Do you think that they should really be a part of it? I mean, it is a brutal sport.
Yeah, I think they should definitely be involved. It's a choice, it's a choice they make. They understand what goes into it, and they love the sport, so why not?
The UFC tour kicks off September 21st in Toronto, Canada. For Escena, I'm Andrew Rosario.